Hello, my name is DeeJay Pittman, and this is my industry research. All throughout life, I've only had one interest, and it's only been music. So if I had to choose my top three, it would be music, music, and music. Picking 4 subjects about my passion was pretty hard, but I dumbed it down to this: sound design, effects of music, music therapy, and marketing a song. The first category is sound design. Sound design is the main foundation for everything that we use in day-to-day life. Whether it's watching the news, watching a movie, playing a video game, or just walking into the store, we always hear sound design at its best. According to an environment and behavior source, it states that people form their judgments of everyday phenomena based on multisensory information. In other words, sound design can make or break something. For example, if you're watching a movie and the water is running in the background and you don't hear any water that's been sound designed and you just hear a faucet, your senses won't really pick up on the effect of the water until its sound design is manipulated to over exaggerate the water to capture you and pull you into the movie. In an interview with Chuck Russell on the game Quantum of Silence, which is a James Bond movie, he explains how storytelling can influence the sound. He was asked, what were the decisions on the sound side to enhance the story of the game? He says, if you think about the sound of Bond, you instantly think of the music. Everyone knows the Bond theme. For me, music was the one thing in the game that constantly reminded you that you were in a James Bond game. So as you can see, sound is very important to every element that we can think of. It tells a story and it manipulates our senses. The next subject I want to talk about is the effects of music. Music is something that's just not from town to town, city to city, or from state to state. Music is literally all over the world. Music exists in all countries. So it's a very important part of our life. There was a Persian case study done by Matlubai Mohammadzad, who studied how music affects the cognitive development, such as the comprehension, memory, and reading skills. Now, the purpose of the study was to investigate the effects of background music when you compare it to the effects of silence on the auditory and verbal memory performance. So how they did this was they took 40 young male and female adults that was between the age of 18 and 26, and they put them under 3 different conditions. They put them under silence, positive music, and then no music. And what they found was that the presence of positive and no music had a better effect than just silence. And he says that it's possibly owning the intervention of music with verbal information processing in the brain is how he explained that positive music was able to be better on the auditory verbal memory performance just because you have that music playing in the background. In my further research, I've found an article by the University of Medical Science who studied on infants. They stated that music is considered a subset of developmental supportive care. It may act as a suitable auditory stimulant in preterm infants, and also it may reduce stress response to autonomic, motor, and state systems. So as you can see that music can affect the brain completely. During this case study, they took 25 preterm infants and they gave them also 3 phases. They gave them lullaby music, classical music, and no music at all for 2 days straight. They monitored their heart rate, their respiratory system, and their oxygen. They found that when you play a lullaby to the infants, that the heart rate was reduced and the respiratory rate was reduced. Same thing with classical music, the heart rate was reduced. The effects of the classical music disappeared once the music stopped, which shows that music can completely affect your brain, because as soon as they press the stop button, the infants would just stop completely. This shows that music can affect the vital signs of preterm infants, and it can relate to the reduction of stress by hypnotization just by listening to music. Next, I want to talk about music therapy. During my research, I found an article by BMC Palliative Care, who showed how music therapy is one of the most frequently used complementary therapies in different palliative care settings. Music therapy has a very long tradition and a very high acceptance by most of the healthcare professionals, but the problem is a lot of professionals don't suggest it or use it for their patients because music therapy just doesn't have any hard proof that it actually works. So of course there was a case study done on this, and they found some intriguing results. Now, this case study evaluates the psychological response of palliative care patients when they listen to the standardized music therapy for relaxation. Now, they took 84 of the participants from the unit, and then they set them up in 2 separate settings. One was with the live music of monochord music played and vocal improvisation, and then the other one was just with no musical elements but with speech therapy. And the outcome was that of course, listening to music had more relaxation, well-being of the patients was better, the pain intensity went down, the quality of their life just seemed to be, at the moment at least, more positive, and as well as the continuous recording of their heart rates were a lot better, and their blood pressure volumes were a whole lot better than the patients who just had the speech therapy of talking with their therapist and getting their feelings out. The University of Graft in Australia studied how the effects of 10-week group music therapy in parents and their children from age 5 and under, how music affects their activities and how it promotes, positive parent care in their relationships between their children. And according to the article, it says that significant improvements were found for therapists observed parents and child behaviors, and parents reported irritable parenting and educational activities in home just because they were listening to music. The article goes on to tell how music wasn't just by listening to music, it wasn't the fact that they were able to connect with their children and have better families, but the fact that the kids were able to communicate through music with their parents, it made their relationships better. The last section that I want to talk about is marketing a song. Since we see how music can affect the brain and how it can make us feel better, I wanted to talk about how this worldwide access of music can be used to our advantage. Professor Buck Hall from the University of the Pacific did a study on 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, and he wanted to show how the preference of music was selected for 10 instrumental and vocal selections from various styles. Now, in this study, he took selections also from popular music, not just random music, and he showed how the preference of the students was based off of their grade level, their gender, and of course the selection of the song. He used different languages of songs, and most students were able to connect with the language that they were most familiar with and that they were native to. It also depended on the instrumentation of the song and how fast or slow the song was that determined how much the students liked the song itself. So the ultimate strategy for marketing a song is to find out what the consumer likes and put out something that they can relate to and that they can feel in touch with. So to help you out with that, I'm going to give you Andrew Hemp's 5 marketing tips. The first tip is to make events out of your brand by teaming up with like-minded media partners. The more unexpected, the more buzz you can generate through your marketing. You also have to know your audience. If a product isn't hitting the desired target, shift your whole strategy in product focus. Next, let the consumer be your media. Branded jingles or contests can sometimes promote your product better than any TV buy. You also must remember, be patient. The more upfront you are about your product fees, the more consumers will trust you. Last, branding is from the gut. No matter how many metrics you subscribe to, don't forget the importance of instinct. This concludes my industry research. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.